Hello, everyone, and welcome to me clicking around on a computer. That's what it is. Welcome to me clicking around on a computer. Oh, it's Friday night, and I am so happy to be here in front of my sewing machine. And I think that's as small as I can get that, so just got to resize this a little bit. Okay. I think I'm good. All I wanted was the chat up over here, but I wanted to make it bigger so that I can actually see the chat. And I was clicking around and not doing all the things before we hit, oh, one more step. Oh, yeah, that's big. That's how you know you're starting to get a little bit older, is when you're like, hey, can you turn the display settings on, like, oof, I gotta clean these. Can you turn the display settings on like 150%? That would be great. Of course, I guess if I put my hands or my glasses on, it would be even better. Oh my goodness. You know, I have all these drawers over here, and they're quite lovely. But I took the time to label every drawer I have some drawers under my long arm, and I took the time to label them with my Cricut so that I could just know what's in it. Except I still apparently don't know. I still have to open like 3 drawers to find my stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get a lens wipe. And I opened the first aid drawer, I opened the medicine drawer, and then I was like, oh yeah, beauty. I knew it was in one of those 3. Wasn't in the one that said dog treats, that's for sure. Who is going to sew with jelly rolls tomorrow? Let me know in the chat if that is you. Tomorrow's National Jelly Roll Day. I will probably not be sewing with a jelly roll. I've done that enough so far. Okay. Let's see if that works. See if I can see now. Ah, how about that? No spots. Ah, all right. Tracy said, I loved watching you and Tiffany sewing that quilt behind you. Yes. So this is the Magnolia quilt from Camille. I don't remember. It's the Magnolia quilt. It's a very easy sew, and they've just re-released it in a newer version. So this quilt is made with 16 blocks, 4x4. And you've kind of got these, let's see if I can get my finger right there. You've got these little 5 patches that kind of work out, because as you're building out a star block, you put those 4 cornerstones, those 4 posts in the block. But then with your sashing, you have cornerstones to hold it all together. And so it kind of gives that almost like a Irish chain type of look, which I really like. I believe they've redone this, but without those posts, and the blocks are even bigger. And I think the quilt is like 3x3, I want to say. I don't quote me, I might be wrong, but I don't see why you couldn't still make it 4x4 and just have the quilt overall bigger. This has been quilted, it has been squared, and I am going to work on binding it tomorrow. So I'll be working with a 2.5-inch strip. It's going to my sister Nicole. So yay. Let's see, who else do we have in the chat tonight? I will not, as I don't have any jelly rolls. Hope everyone has fun. I will not be sewing with a jelly roll either, but maybe I should. Mary says, no jelly roll sewing for me tomorrow. The only rolling that will be going on are my wheels with the Panda Mini Cooper clicker clacker down the road. Mary, have you not left yet? I thought you were leaving today. Are you leaving tomorrow? And are you driving right by my house when you leave? Just curious. Kathy says, thinking I might make a Louis 16 using a jelly roll, but not married to that idea yet. I don't even know what those are. I hope those are not expensive eyeglasses, Susie says. Those wipes are potentially made of wood fibers. Please use a cotton wipe. That I've been using these for years and have never had a problem. Huh. Doesn't say what's in it, but I've never had a problem with this brand. Oh, 3 in the morning is when you're leaving. No thanks. Don't stop by here. Hey, Tiff. I love you. Um, Susie says, hi from Pittsburgh area. I love the pattern behind hoping to do it one day. Awesome. All right, I want to get into it because I feel like it is time. So here's the deal. A couple of things. I know ads have been a thing on YouTube Lives. I've seen them happen, not just on mine. I think I've turned the setting off that would prevent them from happening. But halfway through, I am going to get up and stretch my legs and take a bio break because sitting still for 2 hours isn't good for my hips. It's not good for me. And so at that point, we'll have a slight intermission and I'll allow YouTube to run an ad or two. And that's going to be a great time for you to get up and stretch your legs too. And if you just want to sit through it, that's fine. But that way we can control the ad rather than having YouTube just throw them in. We can control the ad and when it rolls, there won't actually be anything that you're missing out on and you'll just come right back. We'll see how that works. Got to test stuff out sometime, right? But for now, we're just going to get sewing. So, Norma says, I have a Quilt of Valor sewing tomorrow, so no jelly roll for me either. I need to get my Quilt of Valor quilt going. I have all the blocks. I just got to square them up. All right, so I'm going to be working on block 3 for the Designer Mystery 2023 quilt from Fat Quarter Shop. And I've already starched my fabric and cut it all out. And I want to show you guys this because it's kind of awesome. Let me just get my clicker clacker mouse working so that I can show you what I want to show you. Oh, nope, that's not it. This is though. I shouldn't be needing this. Can somebody just do exclamation welcome in the chat for me? Let's make sure the chat bot's working so that I don't have to use my keyboard for the rest of the night. Oh, wow. Hold on 1 second. I didn't even check this before. Overhead camera jiggling a little bit. But let's see, hopefully straighter. Normally, I check all my settings because sometimes you have the puppies in here and they'll be running around and they'll knock a tripod leg off its hinges, and then things end up not straight and it becomes a whole thing. And that seems to have happened here. So just give me a second while I try to get this situated. Oh, that's making it worse, isn't it? There we go. That'll work. Gosh, wouldn't be a live stream if it wasn't for doing something with the tech, right? One of these days, I am going to have a helper so that I can just focus on being on the live stream and they can do all of the tech. That's good. All right. Let's go. All right, so this is what I wanted to show you. I've got my cup of water over here. We're going to move my phone out of the way. And this is the packet that I get from, what is this from? Fat Quarter Shop. This is the packet that I get from Fat Quarter Shop. And I just want to show you all of the scrap materials that I have left. Like, look, out of this 10-inch square, all I needed was a 4.5-inch piece. I've got some really big scraps, and that's how all of their block of the months are. There's plenty in here to do this block at least one more time if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I have been saving all of my scrap fabrics in the baggie from that month's block. I've done this with the other ones, the other block of the months that I've done before, just in case I need to go in and do it, or do the block again, or fix something or whatever, it's there for me. I just want you to know that if you are a beginner and you want to do the block of the month from Fat Quarter Shop, first off, the patterns that they give to you are really, really easy to understand. And secondly, they give you more than enough fabric to have an oops or to fussy cut if that's your thing. So don't be afraid to try. I have already starched all my fabric and cut it according to the fabric instructions. So I'm going to pull these out, and this should be pretty much like a puzzle mystery quilt kind of thing, because I'm just sewing fabric together that's already been cut. So let's get at it. Their block of the months are always very generous. Yes, I agree. You should have enough scrap to make another quilt, and I am testing that theory with my Rose and Bloom scraps, so I'll let you know once that's done. I'm trying to take all my Rose and Bloom scraps and turn it into a second quilt. All right, so to start off, we're going to take our fabric B and our fabric D squares. So that's my background and my pink. I'll set this in a pile up here. And we're going to use these to make 8 half square triangle units. So I'm just going to put these all right side together so that I don't have to think. Kimberly was making 3 different sizes for each month with the extra fabric. I bet you could. I've seen her do that, and I was like, ooh, do I want to do that? I thought it might be fun to do like the trimmed down size, like make the full quilt, but then make the, I think it's a 3-inch block or whatever, the really small, tiny block, and make a tiny version of the quilt. Wouldn't that be fun? That would be fun. Maybe some of you out there are going, no, that would not be fun, Becca. You're crazy. Well, you know, to each their own. I think it would be fun, but that would have to be something I do later because I've got other projects I want to work on right now. All right, so here I go. I'm going to sew all of these together on the 45. It's going to be about a 1/4 inch away from that center line, going from one corner to the other. I'm going to do it for all 4 pairs. Each pair is going to yield 2 half square triangle units. Dun, da, da, da. I'm also going to snip this thread off. There we go. So how is everybody's September going so far? Hello, Donna. Susan says, I still have the Halloween quilt from their spooky box 2 years ago to sew. Another UFO that I need to tackle. I've just decided, you know, talking about those UFOs isn't getting them done. So I've started trying to be realistic about what I can do in the time that I have allocated. And if it's something that I can do and I want to do, then I'll keep it and I'll prioritize working on it. But if it's a project that I know I'm just never going, I don't have the energy to do, or it doesn't serve a purpose in my life anymore, I'm giving myself the freedom to pay it forward to somebody else. And I've done that with several projects already, and it's really freeing. Janny Rosario says, I can attest, making the 3 inches harder than the others. Got it. I do like tiny piecing though, so I might have to try it. I will say, in my experience, there are 2 tips that I have, and I think Kimberly follows the same thing. The 2 tips that I have that make tiny piecing a success. The first one is starch is your friend, lots of it. And the second one is always try to press your seams open. Those 2 things have usually given me a bit more success when it comes to smaller blocks. Oh, Sheila says she's talking to Linda. Never mind. There's 2. There, it's working. Thank you, Tiff. Appreciate you. There's 2 more. There's 2 more. Constance says, I'm finally getting my quilting room set up in the final stages of hopefully starting on projects in a week or 2. Awesome! Congratulations. Mary Lou wants to know if I am using a scant 1/4 inch. No, because the way the half square triangle units are given to you, Well, actually, no, I think I am. Yeah, I am using a scant. I lied. I lied. But I still do take a minute to square these down. So I'm going to press the, oh, it says I only have to press it to the D fabric. I forgot. I was talking about tiny piecing, and so I just started pressing to one, pressing them open because my mind was there. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. No, no, no. That's not what we're doing tonight. We're doing the designer mystery quilt, and we're just going to follow what the paper says. Get back in the groove, lady. Get back in the groove. So let's do that. Apply a little bit of that Acorn Easy Press Pen to the seams just to give it a little bit more flatness. Susan says, Becca, I've done that too. I've gifted 3 kits I would never have done, as well as a pile of blocks for a couple other quilts I didn't have any interest in finishing. It's so freeing when you do that. Like I've been really trying to lean into the do it, poop or get off of the pot. You see, like that. That's it. Poop or get off the pot. Hello, Amy from Austin, Texas. I really don't know why I'm bothering to do this. It has so this is probably a little finicky for some of you, but you know how sometimes you find a notion or a step when you're quilting or you're piecing and you're like, ooh, I like this. I'm gonna do this. And sometimes you need to do it, but then other times it's a useless step, but you end up working it in anyway, even though maybe it's a time waster. This is the case. This Easy Press Pen is awesome, but I'm pressing this the wrong way. I knew I was doing something wrong. This Easy Press Pen is awesome for when you're trying to get your seams really super flat, but if you're doing that on just like one seam and there's no real bulk, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if it's needed, because I feel like my half square triangle units could still be relatively flat without this. But I say all of that because I've been using this a lot for FPP. I think it is a game changer for FPP. And so now I've just kind of been like, oh, let's put it on our seam. It's a muscle memory thing. I just reached for it and started using it without even thinking. I don't know if I'll use it for all of my blocks. I also have been using it for cotton cuts, puzzle mystery quilts, because you can't starch the block, but that allows you to starch the seam. Hello, Wanda from Augusta, Georgia. Hello, Linda. It's been absolutely beautiful outside today. Almost a little chilly this morning, but I love it because it definitely reminds me of fall. So I have the windows in here open. I've pulled the blinds down a little bit so I have a bit of privacy. I don't feel like I'm on display for the whole world, but I do have the windows open and I can hear all of the crickets and the wildlife outside singing as it's starting to get dark here. It's really kind of neat. It's refreshing. All right, so these are going to be trimmed down to 2.5-inch squares. So I'm just going to use my Quilter Select ruler to square these up really quick. And the way I do that is by finding the 45-degree line on my square ruler and putting that line right on the seam where those two fabrics come together. I make sure that the first time I lay it down, I've got fabric extending off to the right and the top of the ruler, and fabric extending past that 2.5 inch mark where I want the block to square up. I clean up the right, the top, take that away, and then I'll flip the block 180 degrees and do the same thing. But this time, when I line up the ruler, I'm going to take that 2.5 inch line and I'm going to put it on the left side of the block and the bottom side of the block. And that's going to give me a nice square, half square triangle unit. If for whatever reason, while you were sewing, you deviated a little bit and you had to get a little cattywampus in the middle, what I try to do, if I did not sew perfectly straight, is just line up my ruler so that the two fabrics are meeting in the exact corner of the opposite corners of the block. If it's a little askew in the middle, it's going to be harder for people to tell in your finished quilt. The most important thing out of this is that your two fabrics are coming together into the corner of the block. Sorry, I should not have had that pattern open for the whole world to see. My apologies. I was just working and did not see that. So I'm assuming that all of you didn't copy all that down. But I did move it. I still have it. Okay, here, hold up. Hold up. There we go. That'll work. Now it's over here where I can see it and you can't. Gosh, it's not one thing, it's another tonight. Thank you guys for letting me know. The name of the pressing pen is the Easy Press Pen. You can pick them up at Fat Quarter Shop. I have an affiliate link in the show notes down below. You can also do exclamation FQS in the chat, and that'll get you a link over to Fat Quarter Shop. And I think Missouri Star has them as well. Missouri Star, I think my affiliate link, which is on my website at the bottom of the page, includes the Fat Quarter Shop as well. I believe Missouri Star might be having 15% off whatever you buy using my affiliate link. There we go. Oof. Doop doop doo doop doop doo doop doop doo 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 doo. It was blurry, no worries. Good. Good. I'm glad it was a little blurry for you. What is a good jelly roll pattern that's not the jelly roll race? Oh, you do lots of things with a jelly roll. A Bargello's nice. Donna had a video series on her channel on how to take 1 or 2 jelly rolls and turn it into a Bargello. Bambi says, no worries, Becca, I would never have done that. Copyright is important. All right. So these are all squared up. Close the blade in our rotary cutter. Cattywamp. Donna Hoskins says, new quilting term, cattywampus. I wish I would have known that 3 days ago, but they never shipped my order, so maybe I can call them. Yeah, maybe. Roseanne Sexton, I think I already answered your question, but I'm sure other people in the chat can give you. Somebody else, a Flicky Chicky said Confetti Quilt by Mohave Farms is great for jelly rolls. Ooh, Donna, I might have to join you on that Bargello in October because I've got my fabric picked out already. All right, so now we're going to take those half square triangle units and these squares of background, and we're going to make 4 units that kind of look like a bow tie block. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're going to point to each other like that. Either looks like a bow tie or an X-wing. Is it an X-wing? I think it's an X-wing. If you're a Star Wars geek, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. TIE fighter or X-wing? I always get them confused. One's the good guy and one's not. So there you go. We're going to make a 4 patch that looks like this. I'm going to start off by doing the top. And in fact, let me show you something. So this is how the block should look when it's all done. But if I just turn this around, right, like this, let's just shoop, shoop, look at that. It's the same thing. So if I just take all of my background in the right and all of my half square triangle units pointing down to the left and sew them right down the middle, then I'll have all the pieces that I need. I'm going to do that 8 times, and then I will build out my 4 patches. And it does say for this, we're going to press it over to that background square, which is not the light fabric or the dark fabric in this case, but it is what we're going to do. We're going to follow their instructions. Yes, Fat Quarter Shop does have a lot of free patterns for jelly rolls. A lot of people have lots of free patterns. Jordan Fabrics, I think So Yeah has some. Missouri Star has tutorials for just about all the patterns that they sell, so you can kind of figure it out without the pattern if you just watch their video. Fat Quarter Shop has some. And that's just like the bigger names, right? Susan said, we had a gray squirrel running around the school playground today. Good thing doors were closed as it was trying to get in. We have gray squirrels a lot here too. I'd never seen, or are they black squirrels? Whatever. Fat Quarter Shop is doing a jelly roll live tomorrow. Awesome. Might have to stop in and check that out. See what they do with their jelly roll. So yeah, it does have a bunch. Yes, they do. Paula is asking, Donna, how many jelly rolls will we need for the Bargello we're going to do with you? Last time we did one, she said 2. So I'm going to guess probably 2, but let's see what she says. All right, all of these are going to be pressed to that background square. So we'll bring my ironing board back under the camera and do a little pressing. Here comes the pen. Get all the prep done. Make sure my iron is on. So if you've never seen this pen before, if this is something new to you and you want to know what it is, essentially the idea here is this is a marker. It has like a marker type nib on it. It's kind of like a highlighter, and it's meant to get some of the liquid onto the nib, and then that allows you to drag the liquid onto your fabric. And the liquid in this case is a concentration, a starch concentration. So you're applying some very powerful starch right onto your seam where you want your block to lay nice and flat. So I'm just going to do this to all of these and then I'll press. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the live chat. Mary Lou says, I've lost count of how many jelly rolls I have. Morgan says, I loved making this block. I like making all of their blocks. And I did see, so I joined the group. They have a Facebook group for the designer mystery quilt-alongs that you can join and talk about and show your pictures and ask questions if you have them. So I joined the group, and there's a few people in there that I've seen posting pictures. We got our finishing kit last month with block number 3, if you bought the finishing kit, you may not have, but if you did buy the finishing kit, you got the finishing kit with this. So, gosh, I'm having a hard time multitasking tonight. Anyway, I've seen a few people taking that finishing kit and breaking it down so that they're putting each block in its finishing setting as they're finishing each month to help make the work of putting the entire quilt together a little less tedious and happen a bit quicker. And I thought that would be a great idea. Jenny says, I just finished the 3-inch block for the 4th block of the month. And I think you're right. It's going to be the cutest little quilt I've ever seen. I mean, I've kept all of the scraps with each block and each pattern. And I think Fat Quarter Shop even gives you the cutting instructions for that smaller block. So all I would have to do is just go get the cutting instructions for the smaller block and write it down in the pattern so that I could make the miniature quilt. I want to make the miniature. I want to make the miniature quilt. Hello, Katie. She says the quilt behind you is beautiful. Thank you. Would a Tula Pink Bargello look weird? No, I don't think so. I think any jelly roll that you have that has a good amount of contrast, and it could be like 3 color families, because that's what mine's going to be. Mine's going to be grays to blacks, whites, and reds. And so you're going to see there, it's going to be like it's going to be basically 3 colors. But you can have 42 colors too. I've done that too, and it's been fine. They do, and they even have, Janny says they do. And even doing the 6-inch, I still have scraps. I think there are people that are doing, I think it's a 12-inch block with the block of the month, then the 6 and the 3, and they've got all 3. Oh, that's such a cute idea. Hello, hello says, saw someone using the 3-inch block substitute for the center of the LA. I'm guessing you mean block. Where would you find the instructions for the 6-inch block? Well, the instructions to put the blocks together are the patterns that you get, but I think Fat Quarter Shop gives you cutting instructions for the 6 and the 3-inch, and it'll probably be on their blog. All right, now that I've got all of these pressed, I'm going to take 4 of them, and I'm going to set them up in the top like this, and then the other 4 I'm going to set in the bottom like this, so that we've got our little bow tie. And now we're just going to take our seam and we're going to press it down. So we're just going to do this 4 times. And because we followed their pressing instructions, all of this should nest together really nicely. Why are you not stitching again? There we go. It sounds like it's stitching now. Di from Sister Chicks Quilting reached out to me today, and she said she saw a video where I was like, why is the machine not stitching? And she gave me a tip that she's found on her machine, and I've had that same problem too. The specific video that she was referencing that she saw that on, it was an issue with the timing on my machine. I did have to have the timing adjusted, but the issue that she was referencing in this case, or what she had said has happened on her machine, is sometimes she'll hit that knee lift. You can see right here my presser foot's going up and down a little bit. She'll hit that knee bar and it can cause the machine to not stitch. I've seen that happen, I feel like, too. So, and you don't even, sometimes you don't know that you're doing it. The black cutting mat tonight makes it so easy to see how you are trimming the blocks. Please don't tell me you've been using it on the show for years. No, I have not, Joni. I actually just switched it out. You know, cutting mats are one of those commodities, sewing notions in the sewing world that I feel like are consumables. They have to be replaced every so often. I do still have the other mat, but what I did is I bought a 24 by 36 Olfa guys, an Olfa rotary mat, or I'm sorry, yeah, rotary mat, cutting mat. And this is the first time I've ever bought an Olfa mat. I keep buying the Martelli mats or the Riley Blake mats, or I've even bought like the Tula Pink mats because they're cute. I didn't want a green one. Well, I saw that Olfa had the black with gold markings on it, which is high visibility, very easy to see. But I thought, you know, I've got a cutting table. I have a Martelli cutting table that I double as a cutting / ironing surface. If I need to cut yardage or anything big, I'm over there at the table. The only thing that I'm using this for is a small cutting surface, which means I don't need to use my mat to measure any of my cutting because I measure 95% of the time with my rulers. So I flip it over so that you just have like this gray solid. I know it's coming off a little bit more black in the overhead camera, but it's like a graphite gray, like a dark graphite gray. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm glad that it makes visibility better, especially since I do so much working with white. Putting it on a white mat might be difficult. And I like using aqua a lot too, which would make the aqua mat difficult as well. So this graphite's good. All right, so these we're going to press the seam down. So what I'm doing is just setting the block and opening up to make sure that I have a half square triangle unit in the upper right corner. And I'm just rolling it backwards so that the seam is down underneath, flipping it over and setting it over there. And now, because these seams are starting to get a little on the bulky end, I am going to, this is definitely, if I had not been doing it already, this is definitely a time where I would probably pull out my Easy Press pen and maybe even a clapper to get this to lay super, super flat. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Got my clapper right here. So I think I started to say this before. The way the Easy Press pen works is it holds the liquid in the barrel of the pen, and the nib is supposed to absorb the liquid, and then when you draw that nib onto fabric, it pulls the liquid down and applies starch. But it's not like a normal pen nib where you just draw like a pen. You have to push the nib in to get some of that starch onto the tip. Otherwise, you know, if it was just seeping through the nib on its own all the time, your starch would just be disappearing. So you need to push it in. So what I've learned to kind of do a little bit, and I don't know, still trying to figure out my rhythm with that, but what I've really started trying to do is I push it down at the start and at a seam bulk and then at the end of the seam. So like a small seam like this, I probably push it down 2 or 3 times and it gets the liquid flowing. Once I've applied, has it ever stained your fabric? No, it has not. Once I've applied the heat to it and got it all nice and hot, then I put this clapper on. Clapper, I have a link to this, exclamation clapper, in the chat. Will get you a link to an artisan in my local area that makes these. It's just a 6.5 inch block of wood. It does have a little area in here that you could grip it, but my hand can't fit around it, so that doesn't work for me. But it just sits on top of your block while it's cooling. The idea is that your cotton fabric has a memory and it wants to go back to that place. Hey, and it wants to go back to that place where it last was. So if I can set up the block so that the seam is cooling underneath this heavy pressure, a dictionary could do it, an encyclopedia. Like, it doesn't have to be the wooden block. It could be a number of things from around the house. But this weight allows the block to cool underneath that super flat setting, so that any blocks where I had a lot of bulk or a lot of height or whatever, I can get the block to lay super flat because of this. The combination of the starch, the Acorn Best pen, a hot iron, and a clapper will get my blocks super flat every single time. Like, look at this point in the middle where those half square triangle units come in. I'll give you a nice close up right there. Focus! In 3, 2, 1. There you go. Really, really flat. 3. There you go. See? Nice and flat. I like the wood because I feel like the wood absorbs the heat. And the reason why I say that is because when I take it off, the wood's hot. So sometimes I'll apply it, and then when I go and put it on the next block, I'll flip it over so that the colder side is on that block, and it just sucks the heat out of the fabric for me. All right. So here are my 4-patch units. I am being very particular about my blocks. And I do like to stop and trim and square every step of the way to make sure that things are coming out exactly as the pattern said they should. Sometimes I'm only trimming a hair or a thread off, but I do believe that taking the time to press and trim every step will get really good results. When I cut one of those steps out, I usually run into problems. Look at that. See? I was using a perfect 1/4 of an inch on my machine, but I still had a couple of threads. And those couple of threads over 100 seams could really add up. Heat sucker. I like that. I'm not going to call it my clapper anymore. I'm going to call it my heat sucker. Ian, you dork. Ian said, I like wood too. Mm-hmm. You goob. Ian Garland, ladies and gentlemen. Off-kilter crafter Ian for a reason. No, I didn't miss it. I saw it. Maybe a little too late, but I saw it. Unless there was something else said. Look, and this is not much, but again, if I would have left that in there over multiple seams, multiple blocks throughout that entire quilt, this will make a difference. Did I do this one? I don't think I did. Okay, so we're going to do this one. Yeah, I did not do this one. Zoom. All right. Now these are all done. Hey, Ian, I saw on Disney Plus today the Haunted Mansion movie is coming out on Disney Plus on October 4th. I'm super jazzed to see it. Just saying. I might save it to watch at Zoe's birthday party at the end of October. I think the last Saturday of October. We're going to do cake and ice cream for Zoe. So I think we're going to wait and watch that as part of her birthday festivities. But just letting you know, it's coming out next month. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm really excited to see it. So just telling you. All right. It wants me to take the fabric E squares and cut them on the diagonal once. So I've got 2 of them here. I'm going to separate them to make sure I get a good cut. This is actually a So Yeah ruler I got in one of their subscription boxes. This thing is super handy. I'm going to take this and do a cut just once in the diagonal. Now I've got 2 triangles, I'll set them aside. The other squares, it wanted me to cut them twice on the diagonal, and I actually did that while I was cutting everything. I got your text message, Ian. Sounds good. I hoped that's what would happen. So the other 2 I had cut like an X in the middle of it already. Hey, Nicole, that is my sister who is going to take this beautiful quilt behind me. I'm binding it tomorrow. That is Harvey's mom, you guys. I need to get some more water. In 10 minutes, we'll do a bio break. I'll roll an ad and I'll go refill my water cup. Couple of things in here. Love that cutter. Is it better than the Olfa? I think so, yes. However, there's a new ergonomic rotary cutter that I've seen coming out over the past year or so that I want to try and compare to the Martelli. The thing that I like about the Martelli cutter is that it's ergonomic. So my wrist stays parallel to the cutting surface. And if I'm being completely honest, my wrist and arm will hold up cutting longer than my other hand that holds the ruler. Although the Quilter Select rulers do not move on fabric. Let me give you the demo. They don't move. Like, this is amazing. So here's a 4.5 inch square of fabric. This is a 6.5 inch ruler. And I can even show you, oh gosh, I saw this at QuiltCon last year and my mind was blown. Here's a 4.5 inch ruler, Creative Grids. When I move the ruler moves, the fabric stays. When I take the Quilter Select ruler, when I move the ruler, the fabric goes with it. This is amazing. So I don't have to have the death grip on the ruler. I realized I had like the death grip on my Creative Grids rulers because they would switch around. So I would find ways to be like, okay, pinky goes here, thumb goes here, and I'll apply pressure here. But I wanted to make sure I was putting so much pressure on the ruler so it wouldn't slip. So this hand would cramp up, but this one never did. This though, like, I probably could just like rest my hand here lightly and do my cutting and I'd be fine. So the Quilter Select rulers are a game changer for me. I swear by them. I'm slowly replacing my Creative Grids rulers with those and I will never look back. This is a notion that once I started using it, it got rid of the fatigue here because when you're cutting with the other one, I was told to hold it like this. And that's not ergonomically correct. This is better. But I will tell you, changing the blade in these can be a little tricky. And it does take some getting used to. There are 2 types of people in this world. The people that use the Martelli rotary cutter and the people that don't. This is a learned skill. It was easier for me to learn because I was newer to quilting. But if you have been quilting for a while, this will take you some time to get used to. It is well worth the time. All right. The Quilter Select rulers are amazing. Like, I love them. The square clapper, somebody was asking me, I do actually have a 12-inch square clapper. I begged the guy that made my 6-inch one from Hard Rock Woodworks to make one for me. He did. That thing's heavy. I should have asked for like an 8-inch, like an in-between would have been good, but that 12-inch is solid wood and it takes 2 hands to lift. So yeah, and it's great for those bigger blocks. But what I also found, and I've got it over on my pressing station, is Riley Blake makes one, but Hard Rock Woodworks makes one too. And I think, I feel like, what is his, I can't remember Fallon's husband's name, but So Be It Quilts. Fallon actually has clappers available on her website too. So if you're looking to support a local artisan and a fellow quilter, you can buy her slide lock rulers, but you can also buy clappers. Her husband makes them. Two clappers. I go back and forth between two. I have my little 6-inch square clapper, which is basically good for just about anything that I do. It just means that sometimes if I'm working on a bigger block, I'm using the clapper on one portion of the block while I'm pressing the other portion, which is totally fine. But I do have the elongated tailor's clappers, just the long and narrow ones. Those work out really well too. And that one's a little bit longer than my 6-inch. I think it's like 8 or 10 inches. So if I just need to press a seam, I'll use that as well too. So, oh, Fallon's husband's name is Matt. Thank you. I would not have remembered that. All right. I'm going to move on to the next step. So we're going to go back over to the overhead quilt. By the way, somebody was asking about the quilt behind me, so I'll just go back to this really quick. This is the Magnolia pattern that I did with Tiffany on a live stream. I think a couple live streams. I think we did it a couple of times. Like, we kept working on it. We both pulled the same pattern. We pulled our own fabric. This is Seashore Drive. It's been sitting on my quilt rack forever. My sister claimed it almost a year ago, and I finally got it quilted, so I'm going to bind it tomorrow. And that sister is actually Nicole Vyers, who is in the chat. All right, let's go back over here, and we're going to start building out the next section. We're going to take this big triangle of our E fabric. Tiffany also, I think, if I remember right, I don't know if she's active in the chat, because I know she's really busy working on some videos for you guys, but she switched to the Martelli around the time that she had her carpal tunnel surgery, and it's been a game changer for her there too. All right, so the first thing that we need to do before we sew all this together is, this is going to make the bottom left corner of our half square triangle unit block. So we've got to build out this section, and we're going to do that with some A and some F fabrics. So we want to be very careful to our placement here. We want to make sure everything's lined up correctly. We should be taking a short edge and a short edge right here and sewing this together. The long edges on those triangles make the outer side of the block. So just remember, you're sewing the short edges together with the long sides on the 90-degree outside of the block. And when you do this, make sure that fabric A is on your left and fabric E is on your right. So to make sure everything is lined up correctly, I'm going to stack these all together, right sides together, so that that seam is already positioned, ready for me to go to the sewing machine and just start sewing. That way I don't have to worry about things getting turned around. I keep it laid just like it would be if it was going right under the needle. And even sometimes when I do it that way, I still get a little mixed up. Hey, Tiff, thanks for dropping Fallon's shop link in the chat. I should really add a command for that, because she's got some products. She's a entrepreneur starting her own business, making all these things right here in the USA, and I'm sure those sales would help out. It'd be nice to be able to promote her little business. Oops, I've got to get both pieces. Once we've sewn these together, we're going to press it down to that striped fabric, which, by the way, trips out my eyes when I look at it in larger pieces. I can only take striped fabrics like this in small pieces. Otherwise, I start going cross-eyed. Does anybody else have that problem? I do. I was told not to slide the QS rulers, as that will leave their no slide finish off. They recommended that you use a handle or a gripper on it. I actually do have a gripper on my big one, and I usually use that to lift it up and move it around. I don't slide it around usually when I'm using it, but I do slide it to demonstrate. And if that means that I have to buy a new one, because the finish wears off. I am totally okay with that because I want you guys to see the power of the Quilter Select Ruler. Oh, yes, I do have astigmatism. Thank you, Donna. Is my like when I see this like getting all messed up, is that because of my stigmatism? Hey, Karma322, thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel membership. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here. I'm not going to actively be in front of the camera. I'm going to set my microphone down. I'm going to take a little break to go refreshen my water. But at this time, I'm going to let YouTube insert an ad. So feel free to keep talking in the chat. But this way the ad can roll. YouTube can do its thing while you're not missing any content. So I'll be right back. All right. I hope that worked for everyone. I hope everybody's back from the little ad break and now we won't have any more interruptions for the rest of the live stream. So, hoping everybody's still there. Give me a little heart emoji or a little thumbs up, some sort of emoji in the chat if you are seeing me back in front of my sewing machine. Oh, haha, Becca, no commercials. Okay, well, maybe it's only showing for some people. Interesting. I set it up to cue an ad. Well, of course. Hey, Jamie, if you have YouTube Premium, you got no ad. They have this thing now on YouTube where they're going to, like, they have live ads that can now play on live stream. One short ad, good. Ad on a tablet, not on TV. Okay, so sometimes it's playing. Got it. Yes, Morgan, if you're paying for YouTube Premium, you're not going to get the ad. What was I going to say? Oh, so YouTube, which we all know is a advertising website, really, at the end of the day, has functionality out there now to roll ads in the middle of a live stream. So if you don't have YouTube Premium, you could see ads pop up on live streams. There does seem to be, and I don't know how this is working, so I don't want to pretend like I am the know-it-all, because I certainly don't know everything, but from what I have seen, it looks like there's a flag where you can disable that on your channel. But from what I've heard, it sounds like YouTube still runs ads. And I don't have access to everybody's channel, so I don't know what everybody's settings are, but it sounds like those ads can still run even if that setting is set to incorrect. So I'm wondering if I just queue it up myself and I take control of that, perhaps we won't have to worry about YouTube interrupting me. If we have to show an ad, I'll take control of when the ad shows. And also, just one second, let me shut the door. I don't know why Akumu's having a hard time, but he is. My pups have been crated for the night because it's 9 o'clock. It's bedtime for them. And they sleep in a crate right next to each other. But Akumu's in there just like whining to get out. And I know they went outside for a long time. They had a lot of playtime before they went outside. I think he just heard my voice because the door was open. Okay, so now we're going to pair these up, by the way, and take a seam right here. Yes, there will be ads on the replay. Susan says, I have a love-hate relationship with my laptop. I can understand that. I want to show this to you before. Let me zoom you in a bit. Oh gosh, I hope I did that okay. There, we'll just zoom you in right there so you can see. I want to show you something really quick. When you put these pieces together, you may find that the triangle that you cut out of, I think that's fabric F, where you only cut on the diagonal one time, is a little bit smaller than, come on, focus. It's a little bit smaller than the triangles that you sewed together. So if that is the case, what I'm doing is taking that point on that triangle that's at the top, and I'm lining that up with the middle where the seam is. So I'm lining up two things. Bring this in so you can see. I'm lining up the raw edge along here, and I'm putting the point right on that seam right there to help kind of keep it square. I don't know if I need to do that, but that's just something that feels like I probably should be doing. Oh, Flicky Chicky says, mine needs a potty break because the baby is 4 months old. Yeah. We have the same problem, although he's not 4 months old anymore. He's like 8 months old. We need to get him in to get him fixed soon, but I'm just kind of putting it off until a little while. He doesn't go around any other dogs. They don't go to doggy daycare. The only other dogs they actually go around now are Mary's little puppies, and even when Mary's puppies are here, they still don't interact with them. Ooh, I would do the French braid. I love the French braids. Roxanne, she's asking me, should I do the French braid with the jelly roll or the side step? I don't know what the side step is, but I do like the braid. The friend braids are fun. All right. All right, now we're going to press this down underneath the fabric E. This is not fabric F. This is actually fabric E, I think. Yeah. F is the stripy one. I'm going to press that down underneath. So I'm going to open it up with my finger and then bring in my acorn pen. Tiffany says, it does help us creators make a bit of money while we are live and not just after the fact. So while 400 people are watching, we can make a little bit from these views. Yes, actually, that is actually true. You don't have to watch the entire thing either. Gosh, I've had some times where an ad pops up on YouTube. I might be watching like a 10-minute video and the ad that they play is an hour and a half. I'm like, really? Come on. That's just a little off. I'm not going to watch an hour and a half video, hour and a half ad, but if it's like a 15-second ad, especially if my hands are busy, I'll let it play. Here's my rule of thumb when it comes to ads. If I if it takes if by the time I get to my mouse or my device and there is 5, maybe 10 seconds left, then I just let it play. Because 5 or 10 seconds out of my time wasn't that big of a deal. And I didn't have to mess with getting my device or whatever. But if it's going to be like a minute or more, yeah, I just skip it. Once it's eligible to be skipped. I think the content creators probably still get paid for just people watching the first few seconds that were unskippable. So we do not have YouTube Premium. We did pay for it for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? That's $25 a month that I don't really need to pay. So we canceled, which sounds like Pat Boo, who said, I just canceled my premium. So we'll see how frustrated I get. Hello, Eric Oda. Haven't seen you here in a minute. How are you doing, buddy? Tiff or somebody, if you could put Eric's channel link in the chat, I'm sure that'll help him out. Yep. Did you get up and exercise? Yes, I did. We already played the was it Levitra? Probably, Eric. Yes, probably. Or Lume. Actually, Lumes are funny and they're short. So, wait, there was a message here. I like this. Barb McKinley says, I allow 3 ads in a half-hour podcast. I will quit watching after that. I try to not bulk more. I try to go from the standpoint of if a 30-minute show has 1 ad break, then I can have 1, maybe 2 on a 15 to 30-minute video, depending on how it is. I don't want to get greedy, right? I want to make sure everybody's not getting bogged down with ads, but at the same time, I need to make a little bit of money so I can keep making the content. All right, 4.5 inches is what we're squaring this to. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but here's an extra thing that we have to do now, just because life sucks. We have to find the center. Life doesn't suck. We have to find the center of the block, which is going to be 2 1/4. So I'm doing a few things now. The first thing that I'm doing is looking for that long diagonal seam, putting the 45-degree line on it. And then I am looking for the crosshairs that mark 2 1/4, because 2 1/4 is half of 4.5, which is what I'm squaring this up to. And once I found that, I should have fabric extending off of the sides and underneath the 4.5-inch marks on all of these. And then I'm going to come in and clean it up. Just like that. And then I'll turn it around. Now that those sides are cleaned up, we're going to put those clean sides right on the 4.5-inch mark. Make sure that the 2 1/4 is still pointing right at that center spot where all 3 of my fabrics kind of come in to meet. And then we'll have, I can zoom you guys back out a bit too. I think it's a little crooked. My tripod isn't in the right spot because of the pups. They was running around. That should be a little bit better. There we go. I think it's right back where it was. I don't know what they did. This is where I wished I had the husband help me. So if I go like that, it's being worse. Okay, got it. So then this is the way, there it goes. There it goes. It's not on all 3 legs is the problem. Now I think it is. It's not putting any weight on the back leg, so it's really wobbly, and I'm afraid it's going to fall. Why do I have to do this right now? Anybody else asking that same question? There we go. Okay. Let's try that. See if that works without falling over on me. Okay. Everything looks like it's in frame. I think weight is on all 3 legs of that tripod. Let's go. Hello, Sandra. So I think I know why Akumu, the baby, was whimpering. My mother-in-law is staying with us, and I think Jason helped her go up to bed. And when he does that, because she's still not so great on her feet, I think he puts the dogs in fact, I don't think, I know, he puts the dogs in the kennel so that they don't get under her feet and trip her up while she's going up the steps. And they probably needed to go outside. I just heard Beetlejuice howling and running after something outside, so he must be taking the dogs out for their final time tonight. I was watching a channel that checked it out and said you need to watch at least 30 seconds of an ad unless it's less than 30 seconds and it counts. I do not like it when they are so long. 30 seconds is okay. I'll do 30 seconds. But an hour and a half, I'm not going to do. Not going to do it. Unless I'm sleeping, in which case, you're welcome. First time using a jelly roll. I have a question. Should I start the jelly roll? Yes, I would. When you start a jelly roll, 2 things are going to happen. The first thing is you're going to add a little bit of body to it, which will make it have a little bit more stability, a little less stretch, and just all around easier to work with. The second thing that will happen is it's going to shrink from selvage to selvage just a little bit. So if you're going to put those strips into a quilt and do anything, or into a quilt block and do any cutting with it, you want to starch it before you start sewing with them so that it doesn't become a problem afterwards. Because once you start sewing them in, if you didn't apply starch, you really shouldn't be doing it at that point. All right. Now we're going to basically build out our rows. So we need, our top row is going to be laid out like this. And then one of these here. So we'll sew this together. And that's going to be pressed in towards these star points like this. Also, I'll tell you, Candace, when I gave Mom her jelly roll and told her, helped her get started quilting, I had her starch all those strips. As a more intermediate quilter myself, I don't know that I always would do that, but as a beginner sewer, it will take some of the frustration out of your project. So just like that, we have this row. That's still tripping my eye out. More on camera than in person though. Now we're going to take 2 of these pieces like this, And we're going to take our 4.5-inch square and put that in the middle like this. So we'll sew these. When you say you starch the jelly roll, are you soaking or spraying and pressing? You could do both. I personally spray with best press, allow a couple of minutes to pass so that the best press gets down into the fibers, and then I apply heat to it. However, I know a lot of people that soak and then drip it dry, or spray and then let it just dry overnight. One is the wrong way, Becca. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's going to make a... Hold on. Ugh. Yes, it is. Thank you. I like that. Tiffany, one is the wrong way. Donna, it's coming along so pretty. See, Donna didn't catch it either. All right. So, what the heck just happened? There's a ghost in my room, y'all. So this one's right. This one should be sewn this way. Okay. There we go. And then this goes this way. Yeah, good save, Tiff. Good save. Like this. Wait. Nope. Like this. And that. There we go. Let me just push it up a little bit so you guys can see. I'll put the whole block over here so you can see that contrast. This is what we're building out. And now we've got these 3 pieces. Hello, Nikolai. Didn't even know the pattern, but it looked weird. Thanks, Tiff. See? Always looking out. There's a few other people I see now. Are you sure it's right? Something looks off. Y'all caught it. Thank you. All right. Pressed into the middle, pressed out to the side, away from the center. And then this is pressed into the middle. So I'm just going to press with my hand. And then I'm going to do my ironing. Turn my iron back on because it did time out. And apply some of this best press, or not best press, the acorn, whatever it is, to this. Iron is heating up. In towards the middle, out. Yep. Just making sure the seams are laying in the right way. I found another tip for this, and I did a short on it that makes this notion super handy. I'm going to lose my point on this block, I can tell already. Right down here. I'm going to lose that point when I sew it together. But it's going to be okay because everything is sized the way it's supposed to be, and there's going to be so much going on that you won't even be able to tell when it's all done. I'll show you the other tip that I had. It makes hemming game changer. I used it today when I was putting a sleeve on a quilt. But I want to put my block together first. There we go. We'll let the, what do we call this? The heat sucker. We'll let the heat sucker take the, this is hot. I love that. Take the heat sucker out of the fabric. Set this aside. Now we'll press this. And see, I don't need the big clapper, because if you notice, where I'm applying my clapper right now is on the seams that I just pressed. I'm not setting it on the whole block. Donna said, I'm playing Bob and Chicken. Why do I do this? Sandra said, do you mind me asking what your full-time job or career is? I work in IT. I am an IT program manager. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, now there's a couple of things that I want to point out with this before I sew it together. Because if this was going to bother me and I wanted to go in and change it, now would be the time. All of my stripes aren't going in the same direction. These two are going up and down and these two are going left and right. I think I'm okay with that. Also, this one down here, if you look at this point right here, and I'll hold it up to the camera, you can see how that point goes right up to the raw edge. If I leave this in the way it is right now, I'm going to lose that point on this block. So if I wanted to fix that, I could do that now. I don't think I'm going to. However, full disclosure, there's so much fabric here that I could totally pull this block out and redo it. I could even pull these two blocks out, redo them so that the stripes are all going up and down. Because this one would have two reasons to undo it. This one would only have one, because I would want the stripes going in the same way. I think for right now, I'm just going to sew it together the way it is. We're going to leave it alone. And if I decide over the weekend that that's really bugging me, then I'll pull the seam ripper out. I'll just replace these two blocks and put it back together. And I could probably reuse this for a smaller version of this same block that I'm thinking maybe I'll do in my downtime. But for right now, we're just going to sew it together. And I will say this is the other thing with mistakes when you're looking at your block. What I find is when I'm looking at a block and I see a mistake like that and it jumps out at me, that mistake jumps out at me right away because there's nothing around it. There's nothing you're not going to see the quilting. You're not going to see the other fabrics next to it. You just see the block. And it's always interesting to me how once the block is sewn into an entire quilt, that little point that got cut off or the stripes going in a different direction didn't really matter that much. It was okay. So I'll probably leave it because who knows what's going to happen. But if I decide to redo it later, I have more than enough fabric. Or if you are the type where you're like, nope, I would take it out and redo it, guess what? You could remake this whole block. You probably have enough fabric. You can have the trial run and then the real thing. Just know that not everybody that's sewing and quilting on YouTube is making things perfect. My stuff isn't perfect, right? Like that's not perfect. It looks good, but you're looking at it through a camera lens while it's down here. When I pull it in and point it out, Like, look at all that room I got down here and no room up here. But that's fine. Uh, Ronnie says, it gives the illusion of it spinning. Kind of a cool, cool effect. This, when it's all put together, wants me to press the rows into the middle. So I'm just going to do my last 2 seams, press them. Sean, hello. He said, I am far from perfect. Ian says, why do you think I am the off-kilter crafter? You know what? So it's all about the journey, not always the destination. If you are not having fun doing your thing, then let it go. Let that element of it go. And everybody's version of fun is different, right? Like, I get really excited about putting things in containers and making lists and organizing my life, and like, not my life, but like organizing my craft life anyway. That makes me really excited. I know people out there get really excited about putting things in like the Erin Condren planners or doing bullet journaling. That helps them feel more in control and more organized, and it's a release for them, whether it's a release of control or a way to hold control or a release of creative nerve endings, emotions, whatever. It feeds some part of their life, but my point is everybody's journey is different. Mine doesn't look like yours doesn't look like mine, and it doesn't mean that mine is right and yours is wrong, and it doesn't mean that yours is right and mine is wrong. So if you choose to leave it in and I don't, that's okay. If you choose to take it out and I don't, that is okay too. Do whatever works for you. Whatever makes your journey worth taking. I have a standard desk. Oh, we're talking about Doug's. Thank goodness I have an edit button, Eric says. Jewel says, when I look at the stripes, it makes me think of a windmill that is going around. I think I'm going to leave the stripes the way they are. I kind of like it, because it does add to that spinning effect. I think it's a friendship star that we just built. It adds to that effect. Now, I'm not going to square up the whole block right here because I don't have a big square ruler here, but I do have a big square ruler over on my Martelli table. And so sometime tomorrow, I'll take this over to that table and we'll square up the whole thing to make sure everything's nice and tidy. Hello, Nancy Jean. Janny said, preach, right? Like, listen, there are some people in this world that are very much perfectionist. Be a perfectionist. I don't have a problem with that. There are some people in this world that don't have time for perfection. Don't do it. If you don't have time for it, don't do it. Whatever works for you. That's all I got to say about that. But there's my block. There we go. Thank you, Gwendolyn, for joining the channel membership. I appreciate that. Has anyone been a quilt store, been a quilt from a store? Wait, has anyone been a quilter from a store? Makes ours look perfect. All right. So that's my block. That's what I was going to do today. See, from back here, it doesn't look so bad, does it? I really like it. A month late, but it's all done. And I have all of this fabric left over. So I'm going to... I just pressed this nice and flat. And now I fold it up and put it back in the envelope so that it doesn't get lost. I like to fold it in thirds. I fold it in half and then I fold it in thirds. I'll square them up when they're all done. I haven't squared the other ones up, so I don't feel like I should do it right now. And then I do put the block in here with all of it, so everything is together. So my instructions will go back in the little pamphlet. And then I'll put, there's a method to this. If I see a block folded up in the packet, then I know that this one is done. I don't have to think about whether or not it's done. I guess I could always check my checklist too. But now I can mark this one off my list and I can put it in my container and everything's good to go. And all I have to do is block 4. Project box to store. Yep, right here. Boom. 2023 designer mystery. There's my label. So it goes in here with all the other ones. They've been collecting in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Block number 4 is what we will do next week. So everything's nice and together and we're good to go. And I'll put it on the shelf behind me later. I do the best I can with quilting. I take pride in the time and expense to make a nice quilt. No hurry here. All I have is time. Absolutely, Pat. Like, don't rush it. Just enjoy it and enjoy the journey. And if you like, I can't, I'm just going to repeat the words you just said. So I'm going to stop. Let's see. Love all 3 sisters fabric. This is actually not 3 sisters, but it looks a little bit like it, doesn't it? This is actually the Sunny Side line by Camille Ross Kelly, formerly of Bonnie and Camille. A couple years ago, Bonnie and Camille, the mother-daughter pair, Bonnie retired, and now it's just Camille. And the last 3 or 4 lines that have come out have been just from Camille Ross Kelly. So it's no longer Bonnie and Camille, it's just Camille Ross Kelly. And this is her Sunny Side line. All right. Aw, thank you, Gwen. I appreciate you. All right, so let's take a look at Facebook and see what you guys have been working on. I'm going to try a new thing tonight. So Tiffany's been spamming the chat because she knows the routine. We're going to pop over to Facebook to see what you guys have been working on tonight. I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to take a look to see what's in there. And then I wanted to do this. I want to try a new thing. There's a featured area. I don't know if you can see it on a mobile device, but I know you can see it on a computer. And so this is basically posts and pictures and other things that we can pin to the top. We, meaning me and my moderators for the Facebook group, can pin things up there so that you can get to them very, very quickly. So I'm going to probably, like, anytime I have announcements, I pin them up there so that you can get to them easily. But every once in a while, if I see something that I like, or that I'm just like, oh my goodness, you guys got to check this out, I'm going to pin it up to the featured. Also, I've got an idea in my brain percolating. So you'll want to make sure you're paying attention to the Facebook group for this announcement. I've got an idea percolating in my brain for helping to showcase some of the work that you guys are doing on my Tuesday vlogs. So you'll want to make sure you're staying tuned to how that's going to go. And Nancy Jean says, I have a question. Has anyone had dry needling done? I want a free session from my chiropractor. Not sure if it has something that I would like. I don't know. I've never had that done. So we're going to start off by showing you a post that I actually came across today that I thought was amazing. And I actually already pinned it. So this is a cathedral window that was pieced by Polly O'Logan. It's 90% hand sewn. And there's a reason why I'm sharing this with you, because I love a cathedral window, number one, but also I want so badly to make a quilt like this. I don't think I'm going to hand sew it. I think I probably would do it by machine, but who knows? Never say never, right? There's a story behind this. So my friend Dominic and his wife Megan, they're great family friends. We do a lot of stuff together, but Dominic's mom was an avid quilter, a blue ribbon winning quilter. And when they got married and bought their home, she gifted to them a cathedral window that looks like the squares are about the same size as this. It had white as the background with pops of color, just like this one, but it was smaller than this quilt. And it won a blue ribbon wherever she entered it. I don't know where she entered it. I think it was a state fair or something. It won a blue ribbon, and she gifted that to Dominic and Megan, I think, as a wedding present, and it's proudly displayed in their home. And I have always admired it, but as I became a quilter and started understanding how much time and energy went into doing these things, I had more and more appreciation for this. I have one cathedral window project in my home. It is literally the giant cathedral window project, and it's like one block. It's using like 5-inch squares. I want to make a small one, and I feel like this would be a great use for scraps of batiks that I collect over, or little pieces of a quilt that I've made, because you don't have to have the fabrics work together. This could literally be all different colors. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you right off the bat, right out of the bat tonight. So I had pinned it so I didn't lose it, but we're going to leave that as a pinned post because you guys got to go check that out. That is a lot of work and it is absolutely gorgeous. Well done, Polly. All right, let's look and, oh my goodness, I see some nightshade. So Gail Tips says, here's my first try of the Strippy Star ruler blocks, and she is working with that nightshade line by Tula Pink. You guys, I have bought some of this, and by some of it, I mean I bought a 1-yard bundle. Oops. I love it. I'll have to try that ruler out. I like the way those star blocks look. Lo and behold, Stitchery just did a scrappy one on her channel, Gwendolyn said. I'll have to check that out. Batik would be perfect for a quilt like that, Denise says. Yes, I agree. Megan says, lo and behold, Stitchery has a tutorial and is doing the quilt along now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Jacqueline Woodward, for subscribing. I appreciate it. All right, let's scroll down, see what else is in here. Oh, here's a close-up of those, oh no, poor Polly. She said she had washed it. She said, yep, I was right. A few of the tacking stitches popped. Oh well, I'll fix it next week. It's not going to be gifted until the springtime to a granddaughter, and I need to hold up because it's going to be, it needs to hold up because it's going to be well used and loved. So just a couple of the stitches popped. That's not too bad. But look at that little cherry fabric. See, just like in my head, and I don't have scraps of every quilt I've ever made. So I can't do this, but in my head I'm like, oh my goodness, what if I made a cathedral window quilt using just a little piece of every quilt that's in a little piece of fabric that's in every quilt I ever made. I can't do that. I can't do that. So maybe I'll do it with something else. We'll figure it out, but it is on my bucket list to do. Susan says, all my Hallows quilt block for my guild block of the month, decided on a Halloween type of block for the October block. I love the orange. I don't love orange, but I like the orange. Aw, Phyllis says, I just wanted to share my new fur baby. Look at that cute little baby. Yes, Flicky Chicky. You can share pictures of puppies with their awards. Claudia Simpson says, under the needle tonight, need to sew on all the little corner squares and then put it all together, still playing with the layout spots. I love that. It kind of looks like a windmill to me. Very nice. And there is the cathedral window. We've got a few member requests, so let's get you guys approved so you can post your pictures and tell us about what you've been working on. Click back over here. We're going to go to new posts. Thank you. Tiffany saying, while I'm here, if you have a channel and you want me to share your link, put a heart in the chat. Yes, 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 yes. If you want some free promotion tonight, put a heart in the chat and Tiffany will drop your channel link. Make sure to put Eric in there, Tiff. Oh, let's scroll back up. Donna Sweetman, making 4 individual wall hangings with the open gate quilt. Sorry, I can't talk tonight. Making 4 individual wall hangings with the open gate Halloween box, Queens. Simple borders, but love how it turned out. This is my first time using panels. Now to figure out how to quilt it. There we go. Yvette Hartso says, I'm trimming down my blocks And all that I can do is smile because this fabric is so beautiful. It's Cascade by Three Sisters. Ah, were you the one that was in the chat saying, I love Three Sisters fabric? That's why I actually do too. I actually like them too. Mary Sears has an applique cactus quilt. Check out those cactuses. I'm really interested to see the applique too, because I've signed up for a needle turn applique sew along that I am really excited about. And these are batiks. I love that. You know, you're either a batik lover or you're not. I feel like there are some people that are middle of the road, but I am definitely squarely in the, oh my God, it's batiks. Frank says, this is Mona's Loving Heart. Very pretty. Kathy Hoffman made these for 2 different people. Let's zoom in and check this out a little bit. Get you in nice and close. Look at all those little golf carts. Is this for a golfer? Just curious. Oh, so pretty. And the second one, oh, look at that. Do you guys see the crosses in the square? This almost looks like stained glass at a church. It's in the print where the crosses are. You've kind of got that stained glass effect, but that effect is drawn out into the quilt with that black sashing or trim around all the other blocks. That's really neat. Judy Neighbors, hydrangea, did I say that right? Hydrangea twist quilt. I just finished the top now to figure out how to quilt it. Don't you love it, like once you decide how you're going to quilt something, how you get excited about working on it? I think I've finally decided how I want to quilt my Atomic Starburst, and now I'm eager to get it loaded on the long arm. Ronnie Nicole says, I've caught up on my puzzle mystery quilts. I love the fabrics. Let's see what her clues look like. And there's Flat Nancy. Oh, she's got the Tim Holtz fabric. Yeah, very nice. Ooh, I do love this colorway. I think Andrea from Arkansas Gals, who has a YouTube channel, I think she's doing a small, but I can't remember. She's doing this fabric, and I gotta tell you, that's a I wanted to, and I ended up going for the Jason Yenter in the beginning fabric line. Cotton Candy is the name of the colorway, but I couldn't remember what the fabric line was. Nice. So it looks like she's doing 2. Let's scroll on down. Oh, we've seen this one before. Let's refresh and see what else has come in. Oh, wow. Lily. Ah, I was going to say, first off, I recognize the back wall and the long arm machine. And then as soon as I saw Beth, I was like, ah, yes. Beth is amazing. You guys, if you don't know, she has a YouTube channel. It's Goody Goods, Gude space Goods. She's also on Instagram, and she will take your quilt and do amazing things with it. She has phenomenal work. It's all computerized edge to edge. She does computerized edge to edge. I don't know if she does custom quilting, but she treats your quilts like they're her own, and I trust her with every single one of mine. I don't send all of mine to her, but I have sent her a lot of business, and I would love it if you sent her some too. And Lily has as well. Lily says, Beth just sent me a picture of my finished quilt. She is amazing. I would never have thought of that panto, but I love how it came out, and she was in constant communication with me. Yep, and she will do a beautiful job when you get it sent back. Wait till you see how she packages those quilts. She takes the quilt, folds it up nicely, and wraps it with a scrap piece of fabric that she had laying around with a little bow on it. And then she wraps that entire fabric bundle, the quilt, in saran wrap. And then the excess fabric, your scraps, she does the same thing too and wraps it in saran wrap and puts both of those items into a box that is covered and shipping tape so that your quilt won't get wet, but it's not just tossed in a garbage bag either. I feel like you could just toss it in a nice garbage bag. But she saran wraps all of my fabric in the mail, and it's that extra touch to me. But she does have a way with like, I send her a quilt and I just tell her, do whatever you want, and she's not disappointed yet. So what she's done with this one is those wavy lines with all those solid, it's a nice contrast to the solid straight lines. That's really nice. I really like that quilt, Lily. That's really pretty. That's Tula Pink fabric too. You guys. So pretty. Nice job, Lily. Paula Whedon finished piecing this 35 shirt t-shirt quilt. It is 82 inches by 113, and I'm working on the backing. Wow. I've heard t-shirt quilts are a pain in the katuki too. Wow. Looking at all the different, oh, Navy. Go Navy. Ooh. Working on the Dallas quilt pattern by Laundry Basket Quilts. I like this. I like the pattern, but I also like the color choices here. I'm not a big yellow fan. I don't love a lot of orange, but this is nice. I want to do, Phyllis says, I have been wanting to do the quilt you and Sean are doing now. I have to since I have a wiener dog now. I didn't do the wiener dog. I'm doing the panda quilt with him. Donna did the wiener dog with him. You must have been talking to Donna. Got a couple other member requests. I'll do, hey, Sean, knock it off. Stop picking out our next challenge. Let me get through the panda blocks first. Paula said it's not too bad. Piecing backing is a pain though. Oh my gosh. Annette, my Queen of Diamonds block of the month 4 blocks. I love this. When I see stuff like this, it makes me want to do EPP. I'm not lying. And then every so often I'll see something like this. I'm like, I'm going to do EPP. Watch me. And I'll go get a couple of little pieces of fabric and some little hexes and my glue stick and a little needle. And I go to sew the pieces together. I'm like, well, that looks like crap. And I don't do it. Hey, babe. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Oh, wow. Sorry, Irish chain that needs to be quilted. The window's open, you can close them. Jason does his rounds about 10 o'clock at night when he's ready for bed. He locks all the doors, closes all the windows, and that's what he's doing in here is closing my windows, locking them, locking the door. And then he's going to go up to bed, and I will end my live stream and join him in just a few minutes. Oh, I saw that one yesterday, so we'll just refresh and see what else has come in. Yeah, that's the last one. Let me, oh, that's most relevant. Let's go to new posts. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I think that's it. Hey, can you fix that blind? Thank you. That's better. All right. That's it. Elizabeth says, everyone have a nice night. It's time for bed. I think I'm going to take that advice myself, especially since husband just came in here and locked everything up. Nora said, t-shirt quilts are not that hard. Prepping the shirt is probably comparable to you starching every single piece. Good to know. I have a couple of t-shirt quilts that I want to try to tackle, or at least work some t-shirt material into a different style of quilt. A couple of ideas for that. I wanted to do it this year for Christmas gifts, and I wanted Jason to help me, but I don't know that it's going to happen for this year, so maybe we'll start it after the holidays, and it'll be Christmas gifts for next year. We'll see. Thank you, friends, for hanging out with me. I will have a new video on Tuesday, and next week we'll be live working on block number 4 for the 2023 Fat Quarter Shop Designer Mystery Quilt. And then after that, I think we're probably going to have to work on a panda block or two. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for hanging out with me. I think Donna's going live in about 10 minutes, and I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.